Right, I've been filming lots of footage rolling around under cars, hence why I'm wearing a dirty old jumper at the moment. We've got a bit of a project video coming out soon, but I thought it was worth doing a little quick video because I know you guys like these of some of the mad stuff that comes up being a car dealer and some of the expectations that the general public now have when it comes to buying a used car off of a dealer. So I'm going to run through some real life experiences of car dealers that have been shared on various car dealer forums and chats. And I think some of them you'll have a proper good laugh about because, to be honest, if you didn't laugh about them, you'd cry. First up, spotted this one last night, and everyone I've spoken to about it, their initial reaction has been to burst into laughter. But this is a genuine customer coming back to a dealer. And what they've said is, I've got in front of make sure I've got it right. Is that what they've said is the dealer got a message from the customer that said, "We have an issue with the car we bought off you that we've got on finance." Now, I'm not blaming you, it's something you wouldn't have known about, but the paint is peeling off the bonnet of my car. Um, Now, I've been told to get in touch by the finance company, I've been told to get in touch with the dealer to see what can be done. You might think that's reasonable. Paint's coming off their bonnet on their car they just purchased. But the issue is they didn't just purchase it. They didn't just purchase it within the last few months, they didn't purchase it within the last year. They purchased it in 2021. 2021. You could not write this stuff. And they're coming back to the dealer going, paint has peeled off the bonnet. Now, you know, in this scenario, they've spoken to somebody who deems themselves to be a legal expert. And they've said, under the Consumer Rights Act, you've got 5 years fit for purpose. And because you've got it on finance, you can go after the finance company. Just utterly ridiculous. I don't know what the outcome of that was. I can only imagine the dealer is going to go and tell them to how do I put this politely? I won't say what the dealer should go and tell them to do. Hopefully this person gets an education in what is reasonable expectations and what isn't. Unless any of you think that it's fair for them to go back to the dealer after that period of time, get into the comments and let us know. I'd love to know your logic. The next one is something I'm all too familiar, I'm afraid, within the industry. Took me a while to learn this one, is that when people part exchange cars, they're normally not very honest about the issues that the vehicle has. You get lots of lovely people come and see you, and you think they're lovely people, and you take the car for a short test drive and check it over, and well, they're lovely people, aren't they? Sure, there'll be no problem here. And then you'll go for a longer test drive, or you'll try and start it in the morning or whatever, and you find there are undeclared issues. So this story, this is good to see a dealer give them a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. So dealer sold a couple of car, and he says they were lovely. They were absolutely lovely. They travelled a long time to come and see his car. Looked over his car, test drove it, decided they wanted to buy it. Their part exchange, they'd already pre-discussed their part exchange, and it was as described, bar a little bit of a knock from the suspension. And the person, when the dealer was doing a deal with this person, was asking, "Are you going to retail or are you going to trade it?" Which I've learned to be an alarm bell as well, because basically what they're saying is this likely to come back on somebody else, or is it only likely to come back on a dealer who buys it from the auctions? Anyway, so the deal is done. He gives the guy a fair price for his part exchange. But when the customer gets home that day, they message him and say, "Oh, just noticed that when you open the door, one of the puddle lights doesn't work. So that's the little light that comes from the bottom of the door onto the ground below. It says it's not working. What can we do about that?" And the dealer, being reasonable, says, "Well, I tell you what, sorry about missed that. We'll get it checked out locally and find out how much it's going to cost to fix it." Anyway, come to the following day, he goes to move their part exchange, and the thing is running like a bag of spanners. It starts it up, it's misfiring all over the place. Clearly, this is something that the previous owner would have been aware of. It's consistently doing it, and that's probably why they looked to get out of the car. And that's why, as I said, they were asking, "Are you going to retail it, or are you going to put it through the auction?" So a couple of days later, customer comes back and says, "Well, I've checked with the extended warranty that I bought with the car, and it won't cover the light," which doesn't surprise me because it's probably going to be a bulb. "What can we do about fixing this now?" And the dealer, as far as I'm concerned, said completely the right thing. So tell you what, bring the car back to me and you can have your car back because your car's faulty, and we'll just reverse the deal completely. Now, again, I don't know what the outcome of that was, whether the customer did or not. I wouldn't have thought they would do for the sake of that bulb, knowing they're getting back their faulty car. But I think that dealer did exactly the right thing. The nerve of chasing a dealer down for a bulb on a door light when you know you sold them a part exchange a faulty car without declaring the fault, I can't believe the brass next event. It's us it's got the bad rep in this industry. As I said, happened to me loads and loads of times. I've got a car on the ramp now that we're doing some work on. That when if you test drove it, it was absolutely fine. Once you got it warm, it started crunching very consistently in the gears. So you would know that that was the case. But they decided to not inform me that piece of information. So as I said before, you tend to start to go into part exchanges assuming that everyone's lying and that they've all got hidden faults, and then you have to price it accordingly, which is why everybody gets really low part exchange offers, and therefore people then think it's okay to sell a car with a fault in it because I'm going to get a really low part exchange offer anyway. So it just continues that eternal circle. Got another one here that's been shared on one of the Facebook groups. Guy's been sent a picture of a door off of a van that's come off its runners, and the message he's got is, "My effing door's fallen off the van I bought off you. What are you going to do about it?" The van was sold to the customer last November, so over a year ago. Again, another member of the public that seems to think that we take on a lifetime responsibility for their vehicle when they buy it. They're not getting, it looks like a Ford van, they're not getting in touch with Ford going, "The door's fallen off my van, you made it, what you can do about it." They're calling the dealer who sold it to them a year ago. Who knows what's happened with that door during that period of time anyway, but utterly ridiculous expectation. I say, when you buy a used vehicle, you take on the maintenance of a used vehicle. Under the law, a dealer is only responsible for faults on a vehicle that were present at point of sale. If you've been using the door on that van for a year and it hasn't broken, it wasn't faulty at point of sale. Now, someone that dealers fall out with more often than customers, believe it or not, is finance companies. Finance companies use the Consumer Rights Act as a weapon against dealers all the time, but they use it in a completely unreasonable way. Here's an example here. We've got somebody in the group that sold a Mini for £4,000 to somebody, a Mini Countryman, £4,000 to someone back in 2023. So at £4,000 2023, I can only assume it was quite an old high mileage Mini. But the person had it on finance. They've now put it in for an MOT this year, so nearly 3 years later, and it's failed its MOT quite spectacularly, apparently, deemed uneconomical repair. I imagine it's probably subframes or something like that if it's uneconomical repair. So the customer's actually been quite cool with the dealer, but the reason that they've called the dealer in the first place is because they've got the car on finance. They rang Close Brothers to see what could be done, and all the finance companies were as bad as each other with this. And Close Brothers told him it was a dealer issue and to ring the dealer to resolve, which is utterly, utterly ridiculous. Pushing someone back to the dealer for a car they've had for nearly 3 years. It's just creating unrealistic expectations from the customer. The dealer's supposed to be able to do something. It's quite clear that car, again, would have been fit for sale, fit for purpose at point of sale. It was probably very old, very high mileage. It would have had an MOT then, I'm sure. This stuff has occurred over the last couple of years, and it's an old car doing what an old car does, I'm afraid. And what's uneconomical to one garage is not necessarily uneconomical to another. So it's just utterly, utterly ridiculous. Now, the dealer, I love what the dealer did here. He did the right thing and reminded the customer of their voluntary rights to terminate their finance agreement. Not doing finance myself for these kind of reasons, I can only assume what he means is halves and thirds. If you've got halfway through your finance payments, you can opt to hand the car back without any penalty. So I imagine that's what he's encouraging the person to do. And fair play to him, because they need to have a taste of their own medicine. We've got another one here from the dealer Facebook group, and they've been told by this person they will never buy a car from them again. Reason being, they bought a vehicle 14 months ago from them that now needs drop links, and the garage advised them when they looked at it that it actually is due a cam belt now as well. And apparently that is outrageous. Price and age of the car, 11 years old, 4,995. What can you do in that scenario? It just, again, crazy expectations. You bought a used vehicle, it was fit for purpose at point of sale, you have taken over the maintenance of that vehicle. If it's due a cam belt, you'll need to pay for a cam belt to be done, I'm afraid. That is what maintaining a used car is all about. And shock horror, your drop links are working all the time, you're continuously driving, they can wear out on a car that is 4 or 5 years old, so expecting them to last forever on an 11-year-old car is just, again, utterly ridiculous. So once again, though, we have a finance company putting a customer like that in the total shade in terms of crazy demands. So finance company, dealer did a deal with a finance company on a high performance car. Customers had it for 5 months. They've done 6,000 miles in it. Engine has blown up. The type of car it is, I know that car probably went straight from his yard to some tuning place and had its guts scraped out of it continuously all of those 6,000 miles. The dealer gets taken to court by the customer. Dealer does the right thing, gets an independent report that says that fault wouldn't have existed at point of sale, provides that to the court, and wins the case. Brill, all good, isn't it? No, unfortunately, the vehicle was done through finance, through the dealer. And the finance company have now told the dealer that the vehicle has been rejected by the customer and that they're going to put the car into auction, and whatever the shortfall is, he'll have to pick it up, unless he'd rather pay them £35,700 now on a car that he sold for £36,900, what was it, 8 months ago or whatever, and 6,000 miles ago. And they've given him 24 hours to respond and say whether he wants to pay that or not, because otherwise the car goes to auction for whatever it sells for. Auction is whatever it sells for, and he has to cover the balance. Now, remember, this is something that's gone to court. An independent inspection has said that that fault wouldn't have been present at point of sale. And the judge has agreed with that. It's gone through court. It's been decided in favour of the dealer, but the finance company are still coming after him. Again, unfortunately, I don't have the outcome of that one, but perhaps if this gets seen, we'll get updated on how that's gone. But this is the very reason, although there's commissions on offer with finance, I don't want to get involved in it, especially because I sell older, higher mileage vehicles. And if the expectation is that someone come back to me because it's anywhere up to 5 years with the finance in that period, and a finance company can just decide they want all their money back, the risk isn't worth the reward for me. This one's a negotiation tactic I've not seen before, I have to be honest. Used to getting people trying to knock £2,000 off a £5,000 car, that's part of the course. But this one of the dealers shared. So the customers messaged this dealer and said they're interested in their Range Rover, excuse the rain in the background, they're interested in their Range Rover, but knowing this is an 8-year-old car, or will be 8 years old next year, and values are dropping by 15 to 20% year on year for cars like this, is there any wiggle room on the price before we roll into 2026? So he wants a discount preemptively on what the value of the car might be in the following year. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, as somebody said, why not just fast forward to 2096 when the car will be entirely worthless, and let's base our negotiation on that price. Idiotic. So this next story is about a dealer dealing with a consumer that thinks that everything you purchase has an immediate return and refund right, which people don't understand does not apply if you come on site and buy a product from a business. It only applies if you buy distance sales wise, if you buy without seeing the vehicle first. So this lady came on site, looked at a Kia they had on site, had a good look around it, took it for a test drive, went away to have a think about it, and then a few hours later she calls to say, yep, I'm happy to have the vehicle, I'm happy with it. Can I put a deposit down? Can I put a deposit down? Because I'd like to proceed with the purchase. So the deal is done, they take the deposit, and she pays the remainder of the balance, and they offer to drop it off to her if they drop it off to her home. She's had it for 24 hours. Now bear in mind this car went out with a new clutch, fresh service, and a brand new advisory free MOT. Less than 24 hours passes, and he gets a text message from the customer to ask what the refund procedure is. And she says, unfortunately, I need to ask about your return and refund policy. I've signed the terms and conditions paperwork, which suggests you do accept returns and refunds. Well, it won't have done that on the basis of you buying on site. Will it done on the basis of a distance sale, or if the car was faulty in some way? In this scenario, obviously the car's not faulty. Obviously, you can return a car within 30 days if it has a fault. But if the car has no fault and you bought it on site, you have no return right, just because in this scenario she goes on to say because she's changed her mind. She goes on to say that she felt she made the decision too quickly. She should have had her husband take a look at it. So, for various reasons, she doesn't think it's quite right for her family, and she'd like to find out about how she returns and gets a refund on the vehicle. Now, obviously, that car will have also been registered to her, so she's added another owner to it. She's added mileage to it. She's obviously dirtied up driving it around as well, although it's only been 24 hours. But why you would think you could come, look at a car, test drive a car, go away, think about it, decide you're going to have the car, have it dropped off, and then drive it around for a day and then go, do you know what? It's just not for me. It doesn't work that way. You haven't bought a pair of socks off Amazon or a coat. You've bought an expensive machine that's taken a lot of preparation and depreciates as soon as it has another owner on it and further use. It just, you're a grown adult. You've made a decision. You now have to live that by that decision. Now, if you want to return the vehicle, you can, but we'll buy it back off you at a trade price because we're having to resell that car again. We've got to wait to resell it. We've got to re-advertise it. We'll have to pay the VAT man again. We'll also have to risk another customer potentially doing the same as you or having a warranty claim in. So we're not going to do that for no margin. I personally want to make the same margin again I made the first time round. So if you needed your husband's approval before you bought a vehicle, if you needed certain features or functionalities for your family, all those things needed to be decided before you put your name on a dotted line and had the car registered to you. So in this scenario, it's like I say, it's a flat no, or it's I'm happy to buy the vehicle back off you at a reduced price. Now, I would probably push to buy the vehicle back because I know that I'll probably live with this person forever. If there was any small minor issue coming up, they'd jump straight on top of it. But I certainly wouldn't be buying it back at anywhere near the price I sold it for. Another option could be to put it back on a forecourt and sell it on their behalf. But the trouble with it is if you do that for any less than normal retail margin, you're taking all the same risks but for a low profit level. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. Now, as we all know, especially if you're in business, reviews are now being weaponized by consumers. They're being used as leverage to get their own way. Don't do what I say, what I want, even if I'm being unreasonable, I'll leave you a poor review. We've got a prime example of this one. It's absolutely brilliant. It's quite complex, so bear with me. Basically, this stems back to a review left by a customer. Let me see if I can find you the review. So the customer has put down that they had a terrible experience from the dealership. He sold him a Copart car, never declared it. He's a precious salesman. He'd never buy from them or send his worst enemy to buy from them. And he's now £10,000 out of pocket. And guess what? He's a disabled, vulnerable person. Aren't they always a disabled, vulnerable person when they aren't getting their own way? So this is the dealer's feedback on it. So the customer came and bought a car worth £17,000, and he gave the customer £7,000 for a part exchange. So they paid £10,000 as a changeover price. So here's the story of what happened. The customer phoned midday and said they're interested in a Golf they had on site, but they had to have the car that day. They had to buy it that day. Why did they have to buy it that day? Well, because they would lose their benefits if that bank money was left in their bank account, apparently. He had too much money in the bank and he needed to lose some money, so he might as well spend it on a nice car to ensure he got his benefits. So they wheeled it straight into the workshop, they serviced it, and when it came to the handover, apparently the guy had a meltdown when there was only one key with the car, which apparently was in the advert on Auto Trader that they only had one key. But they promised they would supply a second key for the customer, and at £400 including coding, they did that and provided it to the customer. Now, the customer's complaint here is that the car came through Copart. Now, Copart is a well-known insurance platform that sells accident damaged vehicles, but it also sells mechanically damaged vehicles, and it can also sell vehicles that are neither mechanically damaged or accident damaged. They could be in there. I've disposed of cars through Copart because I don't have a seller account through BCA. Copart was a bit easier, so I put cars through that I just didn't want to retail. So it doesn't mean that they've got a sordid history at all. And this car was HPI clear, so it wasn't on the register of having a category accident or having been stolen. So it had a clear history, like any other car you check. It had a clear history, just happened to be sold via that auction platform in the past. It also notes a delay in his getting his V5. Now, one of the delays in getting his V5 was because he was retaining his number plate, transferring it over to the new vehicle from his old BMW. The part exchange, interesting enough, needed £600 worth of work because it had a serious misfire. But one of the other reasons he was delaying it as V5 is he sent it to the dealer sent it to the address given, which actually turns out to be his housing association house, which he doesn't live at. I'll leave you to guess why you would have a housing association address yet but be living somewhere else. I don't know what that's all about. The reason this kicked off is rather than going back to the original dealer saying he had concerns about the car having been sold through Copart at a previous point and coming to some kind of arrangement or agreement or whatever, he decided to rock up another dealership within a month and part exchange that car in and buy another one. And therefore, that's why he's saying he's taken a massive hit on the price. Now, interesting, the dealer has gone to the dealership that he part exchanged at and bought the car for £15,000 at what the customer part exchanged it at. So when they bought the car for 17 and they got 15 back, I'm not quite sure how they worked out. What was it? Yeah, £10,000 out of pocket. But the trouble is, when people like this decide that they're going to over egg the spoon, they'll just lay lots of stuff on there. They don't really worry about what the facts are. And the trouble with these reviews is that once they're out there, there's nothing much you can do about it. You can report them to Google, but they don't really care. I've reported to Google that I've got reviews that say my food come out too slowly at my car dealership. And I've reported it probably every month for a year, and absolutely nothing happens. At least you have your right of response, and the dealer has put this response in there. So hopefully anyone can see who's reading our dealer's response to the review within Google can see that despite claiming they are a vulnerable disabled person, they're clearly not that vulnerable at all and very capable of rinsing our benefit system to their advantage. Hopefully everybody will know to take what he's saying here with a big pinch of salt.
Beautiful day, brilliant day, content day, Chops Challenge.
The Chopper Challenge.
We're heading to see Chops Garage at Gloucester to compare Range Rovers to see who's bought the best Range Rover for under £15,000.
Now, in case you missed it, the Chops Challenge video is out on the Car Lateral channel. If you remember, I challenged Jamie, the legend from Car Key, to buy the best Range Rover under 15 grand, and we both had to go to an independent specialist to decide who'd bought the best one. We got points for various things, how much we purchased for, how much the retail value was, all that kind of stuff. Great fun filming this with the guys. I'll put a link to the Car Lateral channel down below. Get over, give it a watch, give it some love, get into the comments, let Jamie know whether you enjoyed it or not, because he's well up for doing more if you did. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.